Hello and welcome to my epic new channel. I haven't figured out the name of it yet, but today we're going to be doing a tier list, and this tier list is specifically on gaming. And we're basically going to be going over all the popular games that have been introduced into the gaming community and all the franchises, because some franchises have too many games in, and I'm not going to go over that many games, so I just put them into franchises. So, let's get into it. I'm going to be doing it with a friend. Say hello, Art.
Hello.
Alright, so let's start. First of all, we've got Minecraft. This is actually a good game. It receives a lot of hate because it's old and cringy now, kind of like
Yeah, but it's
with
also been gaining.
implementations.
It's been
It has
gaining a
been,
lot of popularity recently. And compared to what people say, it's still the most popular game, and still gains more money than
yeah.
any game does at the
I
moment,
think it
including
is
Fortnite.
revolutionary. That's a word that I used to describe this game. It revolutionized the gaming community, in my opinion, and it deserves a spot in the S tier, in my opinion.
100%.
Um, I'm gonna try and make this the least opinion based, and this I'm gonna try and make this to be based on community satisfaction or something like that. How much the community liked the game or enjoyed the game. So yeah. Alright, next we have Grand Theft Auto. This has been also a really good game that has had a lot of series in it, but GTA 5 was the most popular, and
And at the time, the servers crashed on release due to how popular it was day one.
yeah,
And we are talking about um, Rockstar here, and they do very good on their servers.
yeah. Grand Theft Auto 5 just properly blew up, and everybody to this day still loves it and will agree with me that it deserves a spot in the S tier. So, next we have Assassin's Creed. What I think about Assassin's Creed is that it was a good game, it was a good franchise, but for the first couple of games in the franchise, and then it just gotten too much and too repetitive, with which also happened to a couple of other games on this tier list, like FIFA, which we're going to be going over later. So, what do you think about Assassin's Creed Art?
Assassin's Creed, the first ones, the originals, are amazing.
Yeah, that's what I
But
think.
as the series has got on, not talking about the newest two, but they got very, very bleak and became
Exactly.
more of a series that they only made them for money. They were just money grabs.
That's
Even
true.
though over the recent two games, Odyssey and I can't remember the other one, they have improved greatly and have been very popular. Um, so yeah,
I think I'll rank it either at B or A.
I'd
I think I'm gonna put it in
B.
B. Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
agree with
I
that.
agree with B. Alright, next we have Zelda. Wow, Zelda has been extremely popular from day one, which was, I don't know, it was a long time ago, but it's just been very good for the gaming community and introduced many people into gaming, and it's just been a very good game since the beginning and continuing on to 2019 and 2018, like Breath of the Wild, which has been released on the Switch and has been very good. I personally haven't played any of the Zelda games, but I can see that many people loved them
I have
and
played
enjoyed them.
a fair amount of Zelda. Probably a bit more than I'd like to admit. Um, the first Zelda game was released on the 21st of February 1986, which is a very long time ago.
It probably
And
has, like I've been saying, introduced a lot of people
it
into
has,
gaming.
yeah, it's so iconic as well.
Yeah, that's the
And
word.
even if some people may not think it's the greatest game of all time, it's everybody knows about Zelda.
Everybody
When
knows.
you hear a da 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 da, everyone knows that that's Zelda.
Yeah, and I
It
think for that, it deserves either a
it
spot in
deserves.
the A or S tier. What do you think, Art?
I would say A.
A? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd
I
say
agree
A.
with that. Alright, next we have Metal Gear. I don't have a lot to say about this franchise because I haven't watched a lot on it or played a lot of it, but I can see many fans for this franchise, and it has been good for the gaming community, and I think a lot of people like it since the beginning.
Yeah. Metal Gear has is another very old game, and people don't actually realize. But the first game came out in July 13th, 1987.
Whoa, Jesus.
And most people don't actually know how old it is.
Yeah.
But it is
People just
quite
think
old.
Metal Gear, they think of like Metal Gear Solid, just been
Mm,
released 2018,
something
which
like that. I
is
mean,
more than borderlines more of them
the
borderlines
latest
though.
one was Metal Gear Survive on February 20th, 2018.
Oh, all right.
So it's much more recent.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
I
carried on to the
yeah,
20th century.
I've played a
It
bit of
feels.
Metal Gear. For me personally, it's not my type of game,
I don't think it's my type of game either, but this is
but
not opinion
this,
based,
yeah,
so I think.
there has been a lot of them as well.
Mm,
A lot.
and
Um,
there's a lot of fans from Metal Gear, so I
hmm.
think it deserves a spot in the B tier. This is
There's
kind of
been,
an old school game, and
hmm.
a lot of people
And from what people have been saying is it's another one of those series which has just declined more and more as the series went on.
yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately.
Alright, next we have Tetris. Now, everybody
Tetris,
knows about Tetris. Tetris is a proper
classic.
classic, and I don't know what else there is to say about it. As I said with Zelda, it introduced a lot of people into the gaming community,
Mm.
and has been revolutionary again
Yeah.
for the gaming community.
Tetris's release was back in 6th of June 1984. And there has been loads of different Tetrises. There has been ports for PlayStation. There was a VR one for PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
And it has recently had its Battle Royale version, which I again have played a lot of,
I played
Tetris
that.
99,
Very fun.
which is very fun. And it people think that that sounds bad and cringy, but it's such a good Battle Royale
So
because it
iconic.
still feels like Tetris, but when you do well, you can attack players. Like I've given it to a few friends to play, and they didn't even realize it was a battle royale. It just felt like they were playing Tetris, but then they got attacked, which brings more layers onto the screen for you to get rid of. And it's one of the hardest battle royales, and is one of the only battle royales you can play for 2 minutes and then have a break.
Yeah.
Actually, win in those 2 minutes.
I really loved Tetris. It was an amazing game and just such a classic, and I think it deserves a spot in the A tier.
Definitely.
Alright, next we have Fortnite. So
Now, Fortnite is a bit controversial. Neither of us are actually a very big fan of Fortnite, but it's hard to look away from how it is a big game and people do enjoy it.
it blew up complete.
It
It blew
blew
up
up
so
completely. It
much.
broke
It broke so
every
many
record,
records for gaming,
but and it's being the most because most games they'll be popular for a couple months and they'll
and
go.
then just die.
Call of
When did
Duty,
this
huge
come
example.
out? When did Fortnite come
It
out?
came out
20.
25th of July 2017.
Yeah, and it's
Battle
still
Royale.
going. It's
It's
still
still
going.
going, but it's unbearably repetitive.
It is.
It's the exact same thing, it feels like. But many people do enjoy it,
Many
and
people.
I personally think it would have to be a B or A tier.
I think
Just
I hate to say it, I hate to do it, but I think I'm gonna have to put it
Yeah.
in the A tier
It's also
due
one of
to
the
the
reasons.
popularity that it has gained.
One of the reasons it's another great thing is people who are a bit older and they want to play more like 18 rated games, and all they find is 4-year olds screaming down their mics, and they just want to play without squeakers, to use the term. Um,
That's
and
true,
Fortnite is
yeah.
great because if I've a lot of people who are much older and play those older games, they like it because it leaves those games for them.
Yeah, I agree. And older people who like battle royales and who don't really like squeakers screaming down their mics have turned to PUBG. And PUBG is another battle royale. I enjoyed PUBG for a little while, but again, it's a battle royale that is very repetitive. It has gained a lot of popularity, and it's the more realistic version of Fortnite, which brings a lot of older people into the
Mm.
battle royale community. I don't know.
Um, Now, PUBG came out on the 23rd of March 2017, and at the time it was pretty much the first Battle Royale. It was the Hunger Games game, as people were often describing it as.
Yeah,
And it was huge for a bit of time.
it
And
was.
it was everybody loved it. And then Fortnite came along and it just went. It just disappeared from all media.
Yeah,
Um, and it was good, it had good ratings, but the game is quite frankly broken.
it is. I agree.
And the person who made the company, or not the company, but the game itself, hasn't got the best past. And as soon as it kind of went, because he also made H1Z1, and as soon as that started going downhill, he moved straight on and quit and started working on a new game,
Yeah,
trying to
he
stay
didn't bother
ahead.
improving it, and
Yeah,
that's
and
why
instead of
PUBG was so popular. But then
mm,
Fortnite came along and wiped it out completely. So what do you think about PUBG? I would put
PUBG
it
was,
in
I
the
put it B or C is what I would say.
B tier, but hmm,
Yeah,
people
I'd
have just moved away from it.
Yeah, and it died very quickly,
It did
so
die
I
very
think it would
quickly.
be a
C
C,
tier, C tier,
which is
yeah,
still very high up. And
still high up.
yeah,
Next
now,
is Apex Legends. Now, what
yeah.
do you have to say
So
about this?
I played a bit of a scary amount on release.
It
I
was really,
got it.
really hyped up,
It was
and
extremely well, not even hyped up though, because no one knew a thing about it. People knew that Titanfall, which if you don't know, this is basically Titanfall 3, but as a battle
yeah,
royale.
a lot of
It
people knew about
Nobody
it.
knew. Everyone knew that there was going to be a battle royale title, but no one knew when, and everyone thought that it was going to be for Titanfall 2. No one thought it was going to be its own separate game, and suddenly this game just dropped out of complete nowhere. I was within probably the first 2 hours of its release getting it, and it seemed completely new. It had taken
Yeah, it was
all
like
of the good features.
Titanfall mixed with
Yeah,
Battle Royale.
it took all of the features from good shooters and good games, and they compiled it into one battle royale. And it was amazing at first. It was great. It's a three-person battle royale. Had so many new features. It just improved the game entirely, and it was getting really popular. It was getting more views than Fortnite on Twitch. It was getting huge, and then it started to decline a bit after about a month, and people were
Yeah,
they still really enjoyed it. And now it's just gone. It
it's gone.
it was it had at one point
It had a
triple the
lot of
views.
potential,
Yeah,
to
it
be
had
honest,
triple the views of Fortnite on Twitch at one
which was
point,
so
and now it's
crazy.
getting lower than games like Black Ops 4, which we'll get onto later.
Yeah. Right, so
um,
what do you think about Apex Legends? Where should we
it
put
was
it?
good, but I'd like to say one more issue with it is
Hmm.
that there was no replayability to it. Once you had played every character, there was no reason to carry on.
Yeah, there
There was
was no
nothing else to do.
reason to
They
play
didn't
anymore.
introduce a battle pass until like a month or two later, and by then everyone had moved on.
By then, yeah, I agree.
So I'd say C or D.
I'd say I think I'm gonna have to put it into
Yeah,
D.
it was a good game, but it
It
just
was a good
died.
game, but it died because of
Yeah,
the devs just not really
yeah,
caring about the
yeah.
community and just
But I'm not surprised. I
bad.
don't think they expected it to be as big as it was.
They didn't. They didn't. But it completely blew up. It
Yeah,
had potential for taking over Fortnite,
yeah. But
but
what Apex Legends did show us is that Fortnite will get taken over quickly. People are looking for something new.
yeah,
But because everyone's playing Fortnite, people want to play with their friends, so they continue playing it, and then their friends want to play with them because they don't want to play alone. And it's this continuous loop, which is going to be really hard to break for years.
it is. I agree. So that's why I'm placing Apex Legends in the D tier. It would be higher if it stayed popular for longer. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. Next we have Pac-Man, another classic, another revolutionary game that
Yes.
introduced once again people into the
Now,
gaming community.
Pac-Man was one of, although it wasn't the first ever game,
But it was
it
just
was what actually people used to play games, but they were so little. Nobody knew really about them. And then Pac Man came along, and then
and it
gaming
just
became gaming.
yeah.
Its initial release date was the 22nd of May 1980. Do you have anything to say, Matt?
Anything to say about this game? Pac-Man just introduced so many people into gaming, and it was such a great game back in the day. And I think everybody enjoyed it, and nobody had problems with it because at that
No.
time it was just fun and not competition or
Mm.
anything. It was just like having
And
fun. Yeah,
it's such a classic because everyone knows Pac-Man. Everyone knows the Walker. Everyone instantly knows that's Pac-Man. If you know anything about gaming, you know that's Pac-Man. And it's had so many movies where it's had its own movies, it's had its own series, and it's been mentioned in so many other things.
everybody. You
Pixels.
can't say that you don't like Pac-Man.
No,
Everybody loves
it's
Pac-Man.
and even if you're not the biggest fan of it, you've everyone at least has played it once.
Yeah,
And it's
even
got
if you're
it's
not the biggest fan of it, you have to admit that it was a great game and it did introduce
mm,
everyone into gaming.
a fun fact about Pac-Man. Pac-Man is the fourth longest running video game franchise of 37 years and 6 months.
Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
That's crazy to think about. I think just from that I will have to put it in the S tier.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest games that just revolutionized everything.
Mm.
Alright, next we have FIFA. I have a lot of negative things to say about FIFA,
But
but
there's
to
is some
start
positive.
off with a positive, FIFA FIFA was a good sports game. It introduced sports into gaming, and it was just a pure football game that a lot of people loved. But then, instead of like, I would have personally updated the game instead of adding continuous new versions to it. 19 now,
I'm pretty
and
sure it's more than that because you have things like FIFA Street, and
it
there's
is.
three of those. And then you have their mobile games, like FIFA World.
Yeah, it's just gotten so overwhelming, and EA has just become one of those money hungry video game companies. And I do not want to place FIFA high, even though it was a good game at the beginning. It just introduced sports into gaming, and it was a really cool game, but I don't want to place it any higher than D.
Yeah.
I think I should I place it in the E tier?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I have a bit to say. There is a lot more than 19. There's so many. If you just go on Wikipedia, they date back to the 1990s. I can't find an initial release date, but there's a lot of them. There is over 30.
I honestly do not know why they're still going.
No, and There's
Except for
so
money.
many.
Except for
Yeah,
money.
FIFA is just a replicate of the previous game.
It's just a
There's
replicant of the previous game,
yeah,
except it's
with
improved
one added feature,
graphics and
but
one
it's
added
like a
feature.
cult. People will continuously
Buy,
buy these
FIFA.
games.
That's how FIFA makes money. They just
Mm,
bring in loads of other games. It's the
yeah,
same thing over and
yeah.
over, and it's just gotten
And
boring.
granted, FIFA is fun.
It is
FIFA
fun.
is very enjoyable for the first 5 minutes.
I agree.
I honestly no.
Continuously playing it,
Now, if
not my
we
thing.
were rating each individual games as if we were rating each FIFA game individually, games like FIFA Street, where there was only like one or two of, I think there was actually three,
I
but
would place it in B tier, definitely. FIFA
yeah,
Street was
but it
extremely
was
fun,
because it was completely different. It
completely
was,
different.
and
That's why
then they
people love to
started,
keep FIFA Street because FIFA
yeah,
introduced something new to the
yeah,
FIFA franchise, but they
and
just
that
don't do
was.
that anymore.
I still play the original FIFA Street
I
because
have it
it's
on my
fun.
PS3. It's so fun.
Yeah.
I play it every now and then, but it's just too much. I think it's time to stop FIFA. Honestly, they're just so money hungry and it's so visible,
Mm.
and that's why I'm putting it in the E tier. I would put it higher, but unfortunately, I think I have to put it in the E tier. Alright, next up we have Madden. I don't actually know a lot about this game. I'm pretty sure it's FIFA but rugby. So the same thing. There's a lot of Madden games. I think. Can you check how many Madden games there are? Hello.
Yeah, so there's a lot of them. I'm not going to count. Not as many, but Madden is good. It's different from FIFA because they do change it a bit more.
Yeah.
But the first Madden game was called John Madden Football. It came out June 1st, 1988. Um, and they have, unlike a lot of games, they've actually progressively got a lot better because the originals was a pixel one where it was like left to right, almost like a side scraper.
Hmm.
Um, and they're good. I mean, Madden's one of those games where it's not the biggest thing, but
People
people who
love
do
them.
play it love them.
They love them.
They do love them.
They have a good time while playing them, and I think
And I
that's
play
why.
them every now and again. I'm not an American, so I don't really understand any of the rules of the
Yeah, I'm
game.
not a big fan of Madden, but I'm sure other people are and
Yeah.
enjoy it to a certain extent. So I think I'm gonna place it D tier along with Apex Legends. What do you think, actually?
I think that's about good. There's about 21 games. And then probably other mobile games.
Yeah, probably. I'll place it D tier.
I think that would be around good.
Alright, next we have. Wait, give me a sec. Sorry. Next we have League of Legends. Now, this game,
Ooh,
I do not know how it is still holding up. People just seem to love the game.
I
And
might be a bit good on this behalf. The thing is, I've played a lot more games. Alright, so League of Legends, it's a legend of a game. Its initial release date is the 27th of October 2009, and is still one of the most played games. You go onto Twitch, and it's almost always there at the top three. I've never, ever seen it go below the top three. Mostly it's
Bye.
either in the first place or second place.
Before
But ever since
FIFA, it's been number one
it's been
for
number
the longest
one.
for so
Dota
long.
A and League of Legends have been crossing and turning and always been huge. And it's got so much replayability because there's
It
always
does.
stuff to do. And games can be so different just depending on what heroes you pick. I'm pretty sure they claim there's like a million different characters because you can combine different things
Yeah.
and make different powers, and it's just insane.
It is insane, and there's so many
10
new
years it
things
will
in
be.
it.
It's 10 years anniversary in October.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that the other day because I was like,
Mm.
I just noticed that it released in 2009,
Yeah.
and I thought it released in like 2015 or something. Honestly,
Yeah.
so the 10th anniversary is in a bit actually, not too long.
Mm.
All right, so where do you think I should place it?
Hmm.
It's definitely an
I'd say A tier.
A tier. Yeah, it's gone on for
Yeah.
so long, and people still do love it to this day.
They
They
love it a bit.
absolutely adore it, and it's got
Mm.
not too of a kind fan base, but I do
No, but
understand
that's what
why.
kind of makes it enjoyable, though. Because you have legends like Tyler One who make the game enjoyable
I
for everybody.
yeah, I absolutely love watching Tyler One. Absolutely, absolutely so funny. And
Yeah.
League of Legends is just one of those games that is just amazing.
Yeah.
Alright, next we have Mario, and I've made this one its own franchise. We know that there's like Mario Kart, Mario, Super Mario, just Mario. There's loads of different Mario games, and
Mm.
it's one of those classics that everybody's played as a
Yeah.
child, and it was just such a revolutionary game
Yeah.
in my opinion. What do you think about it?
Well, Mario was released on the 14th of July, 1983, so one of the older ones. And it's just so much fun because it was one of the first popular side scrollers, and was actually evolved from it was with the original Donkey Kong. The character you played as was Mario, but the first Mario hadn't come out, and people liked that so much they ended up actually making it into a game. People love that. They made more of them, and there's Mario has just branched off to this giant thing, which
Mhm.
everybody knows Mario. My
It's
parents know what Mario is.
such a big franchise, and for that, I think it deserves a spot in the S tier.
Yeah,
It's just changed so many things about gaming in the gaming community, and it's been revolutionary. All these S tiers are revolutionary, as I keep on saying, because they've just brought so much into the gaming community and just been great for the gaming community. That's why I'm placing it in the S tier. So next we have Dota, and Dota is basically the same. Well, it's not the same thing as the League of Legends, but it's, I don't know how to explain it.
similar.
Similar to League of Legends, as it's okay. I ran out of things to say. I don't know much about Dota.
But yeah, it's a top-down fighting game, very similar to League of Legends. Although I'm pretty sure if you said that to a long-time Dota fan, they would get angry.
They would get angry.
It's very in from an outsider's perspective, not to rage Dota fans. It's very similar to League of Legends and has very similar game mechanics and is roughly tied with its popularity and things. Even though I think League of Legends might
That's
top
what I
it.
was trying to say.
Yeah,
It's tied with the
it's
popularity and
yes.
just the overall.
It was actually made by Valve, which I didn't know.
Oh,
Which
I
is
didn't know that
Steam's
either.
gaming company. If you Steam's company that makes games. And its initial release date was the 9th of July 2013.
Hmm. So a bit later than League of Legends.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was based on League of Legends. I don't want to say that to trigger any people, but it
Mm,
seems like it was, and it has succeeded.
yeah.
And I do want to place it in the A tier,
Yeah.
but because it was created after League of Legends,
Mm.
I'm
It
gonna
has some very good reviews. Before you place it in anything, it
okay.
had from 92% from PC Gamer, 8.5 out of 10 from Polygon, and 90% on Metacritic.
Well, sorry, Dota fans. I'll place it in A tier. Alright, so next up we have Destiny.
Ooh, Destiny.
Alright, what do you think about Destiny? I'll put
Yeah,
this
this
to
is
you.
again my kind of league. Its initial release date was 9th of September 2014. Destiny 1 was different. It was amazing.
It was
It was
different
one of,
from many other games
yeah,
and just introduced
even though
more
it was a loot shooter, it introduced
so
so many new
much.
mechanics. It
Yeah,
brought Halo to Borderlands, is how I think about it.
yeah,
Um,
that is true.
and it was released on a lot more consoles as well than most games. It was released on, um, I was gonna say like it was released on the previous generation, so PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and the newer generation of Xbox One and PS4. Um,
Yeah,
and it was very well liked. People loved it.
people loved it. And
But after you finished the main story
I was
and
gonna
you
say,
got to light level whatever the highest was, I can't remember,
it
like
wasn't too
200.
hard to get to the highest light level.
No,
After that, it was
it
just multiplayer.
it was, yeah, it was multiplayer, and the multiplayer didn't work. It was fun for the first three
Yeah,
matches that you win, and then it was terrible. Bungie should have never brought in multiplayer to Destiny. They never should. They should
it's
have
just
just
not that
added,
type of
yeah,
game. They should have just
and
added
then,
DLCs
mm,
to the story.
and
That
then
would
there was
make
the
more fun of it.
downfall of Destiny when they released loads of DLCs, just as expensive as the main game, which added little content, which released way too soon after the game had released.
Hmm.
They weren't that good. I mean, they were okay, they were fun. There wasn't really a problem with them. But they shouldn't have existed. They should have been actual game content. Maybe something they add,
They could have done a
for
lot better with
a few
Destiny, to
pounds or
be
dollars
honest.
later on.
Yeah, they could have done a lot better with the Destiny franchise,
Yeah,
which is what, two games?
yeah.
I will put it in C tier.
I think so.
A lot of people liked it until they completed the story. Then there was just
And
more
got to
content.
max light level. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll place it in C tier.
Now we're moving on to God of War. Is that?
Yeah, that's God of
Yeah.
War.
I know nothing about this, so Maciek, this is you.
I actually played a lot of God of War in my childhood. That's why, in my opinion, I would place it really high. But I know not many people were the biggest fan of it. It has been there has been a lot of games in the God of War franchise, and recently the PS4 exclusive. It just hasn't been one of those like really blowing up popular games. But a lot of individuals liked it, and for that, I think I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I'll put it in the C tier. Next up is Rainbow Six, and this is Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
Now this is a great game. Can you tell us some info
Yeah.
about it?
So the Rainbow Six franchise, the Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, is very good. I have played a lot of the Rainbow Six games.
I have like
Not all of them,
six.
but I enjoy them thoroughly because each one of them brings something completely new.
I have played
Which,
Tom Clancy's as a franchise as well. I think we're just gonna class Rainbow Six Siege as a separate one because of
mm,
how great it is and how it's still going. It's so
yeah,
popular and just so fun with
yeah,
teammates and friends just to
mm,
communicate and capture
yeah.
objectives. It's such a
The
good game.
original, the original Rainbow Six game was August 21st, 1998. So it's a bit more of a modern one.
Mhm.
Another thing that I absolutely adore about Rainbow Six Siege in particular is how much they're staying with it.
Mhm.
They have been updating it uh, continuously. You have new seasons so much.
And
They can,
what I love about this game is that this game actually cares about the community. unlike some games like Dead by Daylight where they do not fix bugs or anything,
Mm. Or
this game
Borderlands.
has dedicated an entire chapter for the community it's been
Yeah,
called Operation Health and has actually
yeah.
helped the game so much and just
But there is some
fixed so
negatives to
much stuff.
Siege. It is insanely broken. There is YouTubers who have dedicated their YouTube channel to going over the bugs of the game because there's always new
There is a
ones,
lot of bugs.
but
Yeah,
they fix
but
them.
I was gonna say that they do dedicate themselves to
Mm,
keeping their game
yeah,
good and healthy,
yeah.
and
And
that's
as
what I
well,
like
they're
about
going to be
videos.
persistent with it. They've already said they're not going to stop until they have at least 100 characters in the game. No matter how much hate goes through it, no matter even if nobody plays it anymore, they want 100 characters in it. And they said that's their first goal. They said they're probably going to go beyond that. This is the type of game where they want people to play it
And
for
people do
years.
play it for
People
years.
do play it,
That's I think I'm gonna have to place in the A tier, definitely.
definitely.
Alright, next we have Pokemon, and this is another classic. There's been
I
a
love
lot of
it.
original Pokemon games, a couple of newer ones, Pokemon Go, which
There's a lot more newer ones than you probably think.
yeah, Sun and
There's
Moon. I
Pokemon
don't
is one of
actually.
those franchises where some of the games are golden. They are so good, and some of them are exact repeats of the previous ones. Or,
I agree.
with their newest ones, they've had Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokemon Sun and Moon, I loved. But then they released Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon. I thought, and there's a lot of people who, if you're kind of out of the loop, even though you really enjoy these games, if you're out of the loop with their new releases and you see this, you're probably going to think this is like a legendary edition of a game. You get a special Pokemon. No, this is an entirely new game
Really?
with the word Ultra. Yeah, it's completely different. Now, a lot of people didn't buy it because I would have bought it when it came out, but I thought it was just a legendary edition
Hmm.
with maybe an extra few story missions or something.
Your extra Pokemon, yeah. But I love Pokemon as a franchise in general. It's such a great franchise.
Yes.
I think
Mm,
almost everybody loves
yeah.
it, and it just
Um,
yeah.
and yeah, it brought a whole new franchise as well. There's been the card game is huge. The TV series is been going off huge. There is 122 known games.
Wow.
With 7 generations. There is loads of different Pokemon. All these creations have turned into something much bigger than anyone thought.
This is just this franchise is so much bigger
Mm,
than anything else on this tier list,
yeah.
and for that, I think it deserves a
Mm,
spot in the S tier. Definitely,
yeah.
I would put it in the
The
A tier, but because of how much
mm,
stuff there is in it,
yeah.
it just definitely
It's
deserves a
another
spot in
thing
this.
is it's getting its movie adaptation, and normally movie adaptations of games suck. Um, they're not very good. Uh, and but Detective Pikachu looks amazing as a game, as a movie, and I'm really excited for that.
I
And
am really
the first
excited to see
Pokemon
it.
came out in 27th of February, 1996.
Hmm. Wait, 19 what? Hello?
Yes,
19 what?
1996.
Oh, cool. So it's not as old as the other ones, but definitely there is definitely much more in it
Yes,
than other ones.
and definitely revolutionized. If that I didn't say that correctly at all.
Yeah, just revolutionized
Revolutionized. There we go.
everything.
God,
Next we have Counter Strike, and Counter Strike is like Call of Duty, but for PC. And
you would
it's
trigger a lot of fans by saying that.
sorry, Counter Strike fans. I'm a Counter Strike fan. I play it a lot. I have
Yes,
about
the free version once in a millennium.
no, but Counter Strike is very good. It's very popular, has a large fan base that keeps playing to this day, very active fan base, and I think that people just love Counter Strike. What do you have to say about it?
I enjoy Counter Strike, but it's not for the casual gamer.
It is
It's
not.
very much something you need to be good at.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's not fun at all.
I do agree with that.
If you are more of a Call of Duty fan or pretty much any other shooter fan, you will struggle with the transition with not being able to zoom in, not being able to sprint,
Counter
being
Strike
much.
is just different from
It's
other
different,
shooter games.
but it's held its ground very well. And recently going free to play, unfortunately, has, in my opinion, kind of ruined the game. Because you used to always get new players, so people would stop playing the game, but then more people would join the game. But now, because it's free to play, no one buys the I don't know what the loyalty edition, I think they call it.
Yeah, I didn't know the loyalty.
So the player base has been going down for people like me who have the loyalty edition. So it takes longer to find matches. But free to play players, they find matches very quickly, very easily, which would be good, apart from the insane hacker problem.
There is so many hackers in Counter Strike. It is so crazy. More than more
Yeah.
hackers than in any other
Most
game.
people who are fans of Counter Strike won't actually know it because they have the loyalty edition. Because they bought the game before it went free to play.
Yeah, the
But
reason why this game has hackers is because it went free to play.
mm,
So many hackers can just get it for free and start hacking without any consequence
mm,
whatsoever. They can just make another account and make a new one and just start hacking again. That's why I think this would be in the B tier, but there has been a lot of problems with Counter
yeah,
Strike
and
over
it's
the
been
years.
getting progressively worse, unfortunately. No games in the F tier so far,
No,
but we will
we'll
definitely get
see.
onto that.
Wait, I'm gonna have to go for some. Oh, you made me stop the. I will play. I'm just going over something. Sorry for that interference. I'll make sure to cut that out. Probably
Yeah.
not, but
What's this next game? I have no idea what that logo is.
neither do I. I thought this is The Witcher. I just whenever I
Oh
saw
yeah,
it, I
that's The
thought of
Witcher.
the Witcher logo, and it just
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
up
that
with
is
this.
yeah, that is.
I do not know much about The Witcher, but I
I
do
know
know
it's popular,
it is popular, and a lot of people like it for its adventure aspect and fighting
and I'm
monsters and
interested
stuff.
in getting The Witcher.
Mm, I am
And
too.
it has very good reviews. It's 9 out of 10 on
It is very
Steam.
positive.
The first one came out 26th of October 2007 and is actually getting a Witcher series on Netflix,
Whoa,
which I am quite excited for.
I'm quite excited. I'll make sure to play The Witcher before that comes out. Then I'll
Yeah,
probably buy it.
yeah, it's going to
It's
be.
just
Yeah.
so positive that a lot
Mm,
of people have been buying it.
mm. There's
It's
been a lot of books as well.
mm,
I'm pretty sure the books came out first.
probably.
Maybe, maybe not. Yes, they did. I have no clue though. But
Alright.
it is very popular, and when The Witcher 3 came out, people loved it.
Yeah.
You search Witcher 3 online, and the first video that comes up is Witcher 3 is amazing. Second one, why Witcher 3 is the best game ever. How Witcher took over the world. It's huge.
Just so positive, and that's why I would place it in the A tier, but I just don't. I don't know. It's a good game, but it's very positive as well. But I don't think it's too popular.
Mm,
That's why I'm gonna have to place it in the B tier. I would place it in the A tier.
yeah.
It is popular, just not blowing up like Fortnite and other
Mm.
stuff. That's in A tier.
It was very much one of those
But it's still
games that
very
I
good.
said earlier that get released, are popular for about 3 months, and then people forget they even exist, which is
Yeah,
it's a sad thing about games because there's some
it is.
gems of games that no one ever hears about.
Because they've just died out
Yeah.
they've been released. Alright, next we have Elder Scrolls, and I do not know much about this game. I do know that it's
Skyrim.
popular, and Elder Scrolls Online has been released recently. And Skyrim, as you just said, has been very popular. I have heard about that, but I've never
Mm.
really watched gameplay on it. It just hasn't piqued my interest. I don't think
Yeah.
it's my type of game, but a lot of people love it, and
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about
It's
it?
number 5 has just come out. So it's a decently long running
Franchise.
franchise, yes. Um it is quite popular. I know little about it.
I do know little about it
Nor
as
can
well.
I find the Elder Scrolls 1 release date online. Um but no, it's very popular and people love them.
People love them. There's
People do
no.
love them. The hype building up to Elder Scrolls 5 was huge. It
Yeah.
was huge.
It's one of those. It's another one of those games that's just overly positive,
Mm,
and there's not just a lot of negative
yeah.
things to
The
say about
first
it.
one came out 1994.
Whoa,
And one
spectacular.
thing that I find interesting is people say Skyrim, and people think that the entire series is called Skyrim, but the
Yeah,
series
I
is
thought
called
the same.
The Elder Scrolls. Number 5 is called Skyrim.
Skyrim. I found that out today by looking at logos. I thought Skyrim was a separate game.
No, it's just one of the games.
Yeah.
Most people think of it as the Skyrim series. Most people, I've talked to people, and they've often said, "Oh, it's Skyrim: The Elder Scrolls, like number 2, Daggerfall." Like, no, it's The Elder Scrolls 2, Daggerfall. It's
Skyrim
not
2.
Skyrim. Yeah, it is very popular,
It
and
is.
there's been a lot of expansions from all the games, and no one really gets angry at the expansions because there's only a few of them.
Hmm.
They're popular.
Yeah. I think
The
it's
one
just.
thing I have against
Yeah.
the big thing is it's made by Bethesda, and I hate Bethesda, so that does dampen my likingness for the series anyway.
Alright. I don't know whether to put it in the B tier or C tier. I think I might put it in the B tier along with The Witcher. They're equally
Mm,
positive and just good games overly.
yeah,
Next we have Call of Duty. Now this is a proper game.
yeah,
This is the most popular shooter game and has brought in shooter
yeah,
games into gaming, and I
mm,
think it's just great
yeah.
overall.
It was. I don't know if it was the first shooter.
I'm not
I'm
sure
pretty sure
either.
it was. It was like because I know you have.
It
I
was the
don't ever
first
remember.
shooter that like blew up, I think.
Yeah, Medal of Honor was, I think, the first shooter. I will check. Um, 1999 compared to this. Sorry, yeah. So it came out first, and Medal of Honor was kind of the first one that kind of introduced it, and it was getting really popular. But then Call of Duty took it and adapted it into an amazing, an amazing game,
Yeah.
but has both declined and got better in a weird,
It's
fluctuating amounts.
weird. Some games from the Call of Duty franchise that come out, people love
Yeah,
them. Some games
yeah.
people just don't really
There has
like them.
been 30 Call of Duty games.
Wow.
There has been an insane amount.
Everybody knows about Call of Duty. It's
Yeah,
just so popular.
there are some of them are insanely good. To call examples, Modern Warfare, just as its own selection,
Black Ops
insanely
2
good.
has been great.
Black
Just the
Ops 2 and
mechanics.
even 3, which was during the dark ages of the futuristic COD, was insanely good. It was the only good futuristic COD.
Mm, yeah.
World at War, another hidden gem of a game, even though everyone knows about it, not really hidden. Call of Duty, the first Modern Warfare, really good. Just
There's
so
just
many of them.
so much positive things to say about Call of
And
Duty.
because the people in China couldn't play the Call of Duty games, they made their own Call of Duty games just for the Chinese.
Just for the Chinese. Yeah, your voice just kind of spazzed out there. It's okay. Um, I think I'm going to have to place Call of Duty in S tier, just because of how much, just because of how it brought shooting into the gaming community, and that is now the biggest thing. And I think Call of Duty had that idea first and made that idea uh, popular and possible, and that's why it deserves a spot in the S tier. Alright, next we have a Need for Speed. Or are you there? No. Alright, we'll wait then. Waiting. Hmm. I don't know if. Oh, actually, don't worry. Is mic broken or something? It's right, I'll just go over Need for Speed on my own. Need for Speed is one of those games that I have played in my childhood, and that has introduced me into racing games. And racing games are amazing. They're just extremely fun, and it's nice to play them every now and then. It has been really popular and has introduced racing, as I said already, into the gaming community. And for that, I would place it in the B tier, but as the franchise went on, not many people liked it anymore. It was just the same thing over and over. There was no real objective to the game except from racing and just riding around. That's why I think I'm gonna place into D tier. It was a good game, but there was just not much to it except from racing. It was right. I'm left alone. I think his internet cut out. That's pretty bad. Next, I have VIIU Rocket League. I have not played Rocket League, but I have heard a lot of positive things about it, and it's just a nice combo of sports and racing. That the outcome was really amazing, and people loved it. And people still play to this day. It's really popular, and I think it deserves a spot. I would, yeah, I'll put it in the beater. For I'll put it in the beater just for you Rocket League fans out there. Half Life is next. I do not know much about Half Life at all, but what I do know is that Art would give you info on it if he was here, but he's not. So we'll get info for Half Life later. It's very popular. People loved it. It's also very old and hasn't had any updates or new games coming out in the franchise. And that's what I think about Half Life. Hello.
Hello.
Did your internet cut out?
Yeah, my sister didn't know what the internet cable was plugged into the back of the internet box, and she wanted to investigate.
In the middle of
Mm.
this. That's
But the
pretty.
3 games that you've done, I have know nothing about, so works
Need
out.
for Speed and Rocket League. Can you give us info about Half Life? When did it
I
come
know
out?
Half Life 1 and 2 are amazing. I know that much.
That's
Um,
yeah.
they
Half
were
Life One
made
and
by
Two.
Valve.
Valve. Yeah. Half Life One and Two was
Yeah.
loved. People
The
loved
problem with
it.
Half Life is that people have been waiting so long for Half Life 3, and there needs to be a point where people accept it's likely never going to happen.
Yeah,
People
which is
then are
pretty
like,
sad.
no, it's been determined, it's been announced. No, no, it hasn't. You think you've found something that says it's going to happen, but it hasn't.
And
Um,
unfortunately, it's probably not going to continue this franchise.
yeah,
It was a good
it,
franchise, people loved it,
yeah,
but it
it,
died out,
it
unfortunately.
got released in November 19th, 1988.
Mm.
And there was a lot more. People think there's only like 2 Half-Life games, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
Wow,
15. So there's 16 games.
it was a good franchise. People
Yeah.
loved this franchise. I'm gonna place it in the C tier, not in the B tier, just because it didn't continue as a franchise. It
Mm.
had a lot of potential, but it just kind of died out. So I am placing it in the C tier. Now we have Dead by Daylight. I am a personal fan of this game. There's a lot of good things about it. It is extremely fun, and the the
Mm.
horror aspect has kind of died out for people that play it a lot, but it's still very fun, and people play it continuously. Um,
Mm.
but the problem with this game is that all the devs, all the devs care about for releasing is DLCs, and the, people don't really want DLCs anymore. They just want this game to be fixed because there is a shit ton of bugs, and this game is really broken. Hitboxes. It just this game would be fun, would be extremely fun, and maybe more popular if the bugs didn't ruin the game, because the bugs do ruin the game, which is what I think about the game. Do you have anything to say about it?
A few things. One, how many hours do you have in Dead by Daylight?
250.
Surprisingly negative review. Um, but I agree with most of that. I'm not obliteratively obsessed with it, so I can give quite an outsider's opinion. It's really fun. I
It
really
is
enjoy it.
fun. I
As
do.
killer, you get with any of these cat mouse games, which is finally, I think, a good name for them.
Yeah.
It
But no, I'm
feels, it
not
makes you
saying that
feel
this
like a
game is bad.
genuine, makes you feel like a genuine god. Sorry, Christian fans. It makes you feel really powerful. And it's a really nice thing, especially when you get everyone and you
It's
know
so
they're sitting in their
satisfying.
chair. You know they're in their chair like, damn it. It's just, you know that they're annoyed. And
Yeah.
it makes you feel like I single handedly defeated all of you. Yet as Survivor, it makes you feel weak and scared. Which other cat mouse
But
games,
some
you're not
people
scared.
like.
Yeah,
Some people
you're not
like.
scared in other cat mouse games. This game,
Yeah.
you're properly scared of.
Mm.
Um,
I really like this
and
game. I
yeah,
know I said a lot of negative things about it, but that's because I people who play it a lot,
you don't want to give a biased review. That's the problem.
people who play it a lot, play it like 1,000 hours, not like me. I've gotten bored of the game, which is understandable. But people new to the game and people like me, kind of still, really enjoy this game. This game is extremely fun and satisfying, and
Mm.
I think has brought something new to the horror of gaming,
Mm.
which is it's just a really good game. I loved it.
Yeah,
Um, should I? What do you think about it? Where should I place it? B or C? I would
I
place.
think C.
I think C as well. It's a
Because
good
I
game.
mean, another thing is the devs are persistent.
The devs are persistent. They try.
They've managed to get so many deals. Like very popular characters like Ash from Evil Dead are in
Yeah.
this game.
People
Characters
say
like
that the devs do not do much for us in the DVD community, but they try so hard to keep
yeah,
the community happy. They might not be good at it, but they try to keep persistent at fixing the
mm,
game, and they do keep up with the community. They try
yeah,
making the community happy, and
mm,
that's what many people don't
yeah.
notice about
And
the
they
devs.
do, even though it doesn't seem like it. If you're looking from an outsider, you can see that people are like, oh, the devs don't care about us. They don't listen to us. They do. They
They do.
fix stuff when people are like, oh yeah, nerf this character, even if they're not overpowered. If enough people say it, then they are going to listen. And they
Yeah.
do listen. People just don't actually notice it. People expect so much from
People
some
expect
developers.
so much from the devs, and it's just crazy. And people just think the devs aren't persistent, which is wrong. They are. They're really persistent with this game
Hmm.
and just dedicate
Hmm.
themselves so much to keeping the community happy. People
Yeah.
just don't notice it.
Yeah. Its initial release date was 14th of June 2016.
Yeah. And if you look at the gameplay from 2016, and look at the gameplay from now, it has changed so much for the better. People have not noticed this, and they just
Mm.
expect so much from the devs. It's crazy. It does deserve a spot in either the B or C. I'm gonna
Mm.
place it in the C though.
Yeah.
Next, we have FNAF. Now, this everybody loves FNAF. Like,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, I have too much to say about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely, especially with the newer games, it's such, as I said earlier, a hidden gem.
Mhm.
It changed when the first game came out, it changed horror games forever.
Forever. Yeah.
So, which basically instantly makes it an S tier. Now, this, what I'm saying, is 100% biased, but with a game like FNAF, how can't you be? FNAF is so different. There was never anything like it. It was every other horror game. It had you walking around, finding clues, and escaping somewhere. That was pretty much a horror game for you. That could sum up every horror game. Whereas
This
for
is
those of you who
crazy.
actually are homeless and don't know what FNAF is, um, it's when you play as a security guard and these animatronics are coming after you. Sounds simple, sounds kind of boring, but it's made by one person, and there has been a lot of FNAF games. I have them all in my Steam
I
library. If
still
I,
can't believe that this game has been made by one person, Scott Cawthon,
yeah,
who has been so
there has
persistent with
there's
the
there's
franchise.
8 games. There is 8 games with many on the horizon. And 8 games for one person to make, with him and his 2 sons playtesting them. He has made some of the most popular games of all time, with now a VR adaptation, which has some of the most gorgeous graphics I've seen in a game ever. It has new mobile ports, console ports on the horizon, and it's completely, the community is the best. When the game first came out, well, any game has a bad community, but people who were giving negative things have stopped playing, which was little to no one, granted. So now the community is only left with nice people, and the
Yeah.
community is so nice. Everybody loves doing fan art, and they love looking at fan art, and they love being supportive. And when somebody finally beats the hardest level, everyone is like, "Oh, well done! You know, you've done great on
Good
this."
job. Yeah.
People have dedicated hours into this game and watched hours on it, and it's one of those games which is, it's fun to watch people play as well.
Mhm.
I watch people play it more
There's
than I
always
play it
theorize about
sometimes.
it. There's
Mm,
a ton of theories about this
yeah,
game.
that's what makes it best, in my opinion, is the theories. I'm going to talk a lot about this because no one knows 100%.
That's why
I don't
people
even
keep on
think the
guessing, and
Yeah, I
it's
don't
such
even
a
think the
mystery.
creator himself knows 100% what the story is because it's so crazy. I've had people play this and they enjoy it. They think, wow, this is great. Is there any story to it? There is, but it's so hidden. It's one of those things
It is.
people who play it once, twice won't notice. If you play it more than about 400 times, um, then you start to notice things that they aren't quite right. Posters changing when you switch cameras, uh, mini cutscenes if you do certain aspects. Type in the correct year on a number pad with monitors going up, revealing a huge lore, and it just goes on. And we will probably never know 100% the story, and it keeps us guessing, it keeps us on our toes. It makes us play the game more because we want to know everything.
Mhm. That's why people love it, and that's why people play it mystery. And Scott Cawthon, the creator of this, will most likely never reveal the story so that the community will keep on guessing
Mm.
and the franchise will keep on going. There's a movie coming out which I am so excited for and I
Yeah.
cannot wait for because it will reveal some mysteries that we have
Mm.
been guessing
There's also loads
since.
of books as well. I think there's 6 books. You have 3 main story ones. There's 2 guide books. Well, not guide necessarily. There's one guide, one kind of story one, and there's a 6th one coming out this December, which is short stories, which sounds awesome.
Definitely yes, dear. Honestly, I just everybody knows about. Not everybody knows about FNAF, but everybody who knows about FNAF loves it. It's just it's such a great game, and I think it deserves a spot in the S tier. Definitely 100%.
Mm.
Alright, next we have Mortal Kombat, and this franchise has been going on for a while.
Oh yeah,
The newest release is Mortal Kombat 11. This game hasn't always been positive, but it has a decent fan base to it,
no,
and
it has a
people
good
love
fan
it.
base, and it's one of those games where it's one of those games that it's also, as well as it being a very fun fighting game, people play it and then they think, oh, that's so gruesome, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah,
It's some games where it kind of makes you like giggle like a 4-year-old in the inside because it's like,
it's just such a cool game. That's why people
mm,
love it because not many games are this graphic, and I think that's why people absolutely adore this game and
yeah,
its finishers, just everything about it, its
it's
mechanics.
it's had 20 installments and was initially released October 8th, 1992.
Hmm, nice. What do you think? I think I would put it in the B tier. I think. What do you think?
C or B, definitely.
Yeah, I'll place it in the B tier.
We're not going to have enough room in the SABC, are we, soon?
No. Wait, I don't know. I'll place in the C tier.
Yeah.
Alright,
Because
next we
it's not
have.
everyone's game. It's a very much a game that for the casual gamer.
It, they just won't enjoy it, not for the casual gamer.
No, it is for the casual gamer.
Wait,
I play a
wait,
decent amount of Mortal Kombat as more of a casual gamer for Mortal Kombat.
Alright, so Fallout is next. I haven't
Oh,
personally played a lot of Fallout. Have you?
yeah, I've played a lot more of these games, haven't I? It's kind of making me regret my life decisions. Yeah, Fallout. I've played a decent amount of Fallout. 3 and 4 mostly.
I've played a bit of 4, and I know that people love it because the story is awesome, the
Mm,
gameplay is awesome, and just
yeah.
going around and exploring the city that has been nuked is just such a different and such a cool experience. It's just something different, and I think people love it for that.
Mm.
Just exploring the city, and
Yeah, it's very fun. It's a loot shooter, and I love loot shooters. The first one was quite different. It was more of like a top down kind of thing,
yeah,
I think. But it's both so different from each game brings something new. Um, it's very enjoyable, but it's the Fallout franchise took a serious hit when 76 came out. Um, Now, the first release of Fallout was September 30th, 1997. So I'd say that before moving on to Fallout 76. Fallout 76 was trash, quite frankly. It was horrible. It was
that's
it
true.
was so hyped up for,
It
and
was extremely
the
hyped.
beta was bad,
I was
and
excited for it,
I
but
was gonna get it.
so was I.
Um, People were really excited for it, and then the beta came out, and it was glitchy, buggy,
People thought
short.
it was gonna be fixed. That this is just a
Yeah,
beta,
and
but
everybody was like, "Eh." It will be fine. And it was pretty much the same as the beta with about 2 bugs fixed. There's been 15 games in the series, and Fallout 4 is amazing.
Mhm. Fallout
Um,
4 is so
and I'm
good.
glad they didn't label Fallout 76 as Fallout 5. Because if they did, then the main series of Fallout would have
Would have
yeah,
just died out.
taken
It
a bit
has
too much of
kind
it.
of taken a lot of hate
Yeah.
from
But it was a good series,
76.
and then people weren't as big a fan of Fallout 3. It was still very good, but it wasn't as big. And then Fallout 4 just redeemed it. Fallout 4 was amazing. And it introduced games like Fallout Shelter, which is
I
really
loved
fun.
Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter is just
Yeah.
extremely fun. It's one of those games that you don't expect to have fun, but then just spend 6 hours on it, just non-stop playing.
Mm.
It's just really fun. I'm gonna place it either in the C or D. What do you think?
Probably D.
D? Yeah,
Yeah.
not gonna
It's not
lie.
everyone's game.
Not everyone's game, I agree with you. Next we have Subnautica. Now this is an amazing game. The exploring effect in this game is just so
Mm.
cool. And if you're into exploring and games like this, you're gonna have so much endless hours of fun just checking out new areas, looking for monsters, checking out new ores or whatever. I've played this game a fair bit, and it is extremely fun and
Yeah.
cool to just go around under the sea and explore.
Mm. Now, I, at the time of this game's beta, and the beta went on for way too long.
Way too
It was
long.
years the beta went on for. I didn't actually own a PC that was good enough to run it, but I watched a lot of Subnautica, and I loved it. And I got a good PC and I was gonna get it, but I didn't because I'd seen everything. There was literally everything. But that was hours of watching, And then it finally came out, and I was like, sure, I'll get it, and it was fun. It fully released, the 23rd of January 2018.
It
Um,
was just extremely
and I
fun.
was enjoying it. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it until it got boring because you have no idea what to do. It kind of doesn't teach you what the next. There's no quest book, if you will, saying you need to do this. It's like, well, what do I do?
Yeah,
There's,
there's not much to it,
mm,
excluding the exploring aspect,
yeah,
and they didn't really add much to it and consecutively update it. They did update it, but not like
mm,
major stuff, like cool stuff adding
mm,
into the game. And the
yeah,
update took
and
took so long.
yeah, and then you have Subnautica Below Zero, which I didn't have any idea what was until scarily recently. It seemed that they released Subnautica and stopped working on it and started working on a new one. It's almost as if the game had been released for years within through the beta. But the beta isn't a game release. That's why you're working on the game. You finally release it and then you update the game not to make it better. You don't update the game so much in the beta. When you release it, there's nothing more to add.
Yeah, that's what happened with
Which is
Subnautica.
exactly what happened because then they had no more updates that they wanted to add. They'd done everything. So they're just like, oh, we might as well just make another one.
Yeah, I would
Um,
rank it high if they
mm,
consecutively were adding more and more to it. But
yeah,
they just bombarded us with everything. And then there was nothing new that they wanted to add or had anything to add.
yeah,
I think I will place it in. I'm tempted to place it in the D tier.
yeah, I would, honestly.
It was a really good game, but it had so much potential in the beta. But when
Mm,
they just released it with everything that they thought of, that's why, yeah, that's what I think about it.
mm.
It was a good game, but just what I said. Next, we have Bioshock, and
I know.
I I have.
jack shit about Bioshock. So this is all
So
you.
do I. So do I though. I think a couple of no, a couple. Also, people did like Bioshock, and it was close to. It reminded me of Fallout a lot. I think I played it like once or twice, but it never really got my attention from YouTube or anything really
Mm,
because I don't really know what to say about this.
yeah.
I think it was a good game. There just wasn't much to it. There was a story and then it ended.
Mm,
And that's what summer games are. And I'm, I'm, I think I'm gonna have to place it low, like in the
yeah.
A tier. I think many people liked Bioshock. It's just that it didn't really blow up, or yeah,
Yeah. It was good. And the fans of it do enjoy Bioshock, but it's just the marketing for it is nothing big. I've never ever opened up a YouTube video and seen as an advert a Bioshock advert.
yeah, Bioshock.
I've never with games like Wolfenstein. I went to London for a trip to go to the theatre. Every corner I saw a giant
Oh yeah.
billboard saying Wolfenstein 2.
This was
Literally, it was
just
huge.
Bioshock. I think some people may disagree with this, but it wasn't really that popular. It might have had a little fan base that
It had a bit of a
appreciated
cult
it.
following though. The people who liked it absolutely adored it.
Mhm. Okay. Next we have Portal. I think I'm gonna end this after Injustice 2. So we did half because this is gonna take way too long. I think we've
Mm,
been going for almost 2 hours now. So I'm gonna
yeah.
make a part 1 and 2. Next we have Portal though. I think you played Portal and enjoyed it as well.
Oh, I have a scary amount of hours in Portal.
Portal is really fun though.
I'm pretty sure it's my
It's
most played game apart from Five Nights at Freddy's.
uh, Portal
I
is just
love
really fun. The
Portal.
mechanics are
Mm.
just so
It
cool.
it was made by Valve back in. I'll check now, but it was new. It was a simple puzzle game.
Puzzle game, but it
It
was
came out
so
in
cool.
10th of October 2007. Um, and the first one was just amazing. It had twists, turns. It was just amazing. Everybody likes Portal. Um, and there was so many mechanics. Like you have some well-known baddies like GLaDOS. I used to be in love with GLaDOS. I made myself a cardboard GLaDOS and stuck it to my ceiling when I was a kid because I loved. She was the best. She was funny. I even at one point put my phone in it and put on a YouTube video which had all her voice lines in it. So wait, hello GLaDOS, I hate you. Um, and it was great. And then back in April 18th, 2011, came Portal 2. Amazing, so good as the first. Has a 10 out of 10 on Steam, which almost
Wow.
no games do, and a 95% Metacritic review. It introduced multiplayer to the game, which wasn't something I never thought would happen, but it works so well because it involves you actually having to work together.
Mhm.
Um,
Not
the
many people.
characters are so iconic.
Mhm.
Everyone knows them.
I
Um,
don't think many people spoke about this game. People just loved it,
mm, it
and
was like a
it was amazing. It was just such a
mm,
cool puzzle game, but it was single player and kind of ended without
yeah.
any motivation to play again. That's
Yeah,
why
it's very
not it wasn't
there's
spoken of. It was
mm.
really good though.
The problem with Valve games is they're very much you finish them. There is almost zero replayability.
Mhm.
Portal
Yes.
2 did have a bit because it was a decent length, like time length, and was fun. But it just didn't have once you'd finished every single mission from the single player and co-op. It just wasn't, just didn't bring anything new. There was But this is a Valve game, and Valve games don't really have much replayability. But when you do play them for the first time, they're really fun.
It's so amazing for the first time to play this game, Valve games, just in general.
Mm.
And that's why I think it deserves a spot in the B tier. I would put it lower, but it was just such a good game. Everybody loved it. Not so much spoke of. If it was
Yeah.
if it was spoke of more, I would have put it in the A tier. But I think, what do you think? C or B? Hello.
It would be a biased opinion, honestly, because of my amount of hours in it.
Alright, let's just leave it in B tier then. I think it does deserve a
Mm.
spot in the B tier. Alright, next we have Friday the 13th. The game. Um, it's good, but it's just, I don't know. I haven't personally played this. Neither have you, I
Mm.
don't think.
I have played it a bit, and it's fun. It is quite fun,
But
but it's yeah,
don't.
it's fun, but it got very boring very quick
Yeah,
for
also
a lot
it
of
doesn't
people.
have a fan
It doesn't.
base
Yeah,
really, and
it's
it's a
people were like, "Oh yes, I'm gonna play this instead of Dead by Daylight. It's my new cat and mouse game." But it's random who gets killer, and people don't really like that. People like being able to choose. I have friends who hate being killer in these types of games. I have friends who don't like being a survivor in these types of games. And they'd like to just play one. And with games like that, it's like, oh, people just disconnect when they don't get the thing they want.
hmm I not many. Okay, this game would be good if people. Wait, let me think of something to say.
Mm,
People do like this game, but for the first couple of games, there's no active fan base, and people
mm,
just started playing it and then just stopped because it's repetitive, like Dead by Daylight, but it's just not as fun. There's not many mechanics except from gathering loot and escaping and running away from the killer.
yeah.
I don't know. It's either E or F for me. Should we put it the only one in the F
I
tier?
think might have to be the first F
Yeah. F. Yeah, let's get an F in the chat for Friday the 13th.
for yeah, F in the chat for F.
Hope you didn't trigger any Friday the 13th fans.
Oh no,
Some
we did.
people stayed with it, but not too many.
Mm.
Alright, next we have Tekken. Schodze. Okay? Dokończę.
I
Next we
know
have Tekken.
personally very little about Tekken.
I actually
From
played Tekken a
there's,
fair bit, and it's just one of
mm,
those fighting games that
I didn't even know
it's
it was a
fun.
fighting game. I honestly know nothing about Tekken apart from it exists and that there's around 20 of them.
Yeah, Tekken is a good fighting game. It's a fun fighting game. It didn't bring anything new into the fighting franchise, but it wasn't a bad game. It was a good
Genre.
game franchise. Sorry, it was a good
Genre. You just said
genre.
franchise twice.
It was a good genre, and I think for that,
What? You don't know how to use words.
no,
Tekken didn't bring
I,
anything
I
new
do
to the
know.
fighting genre, but its franchise is very good.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I
Mm.
was gonna say,
Its
but I've
initial
just
release
been
date.
speaking for too long.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
I know that about
that's
you.
why we're taking a break after
Yeah.
this.
Um, its first release was December 9th, 1994.
I'm gonna place Tekken in the E tier just because there was
E.
nothing new in it except
Mm,
from just fighting. That was all.
mm,
Next we have Injustice, and this is the last one of part one.
mm.
You play Injustice,
I play Injustice.
so what do you think about it?
I really enjoy Injustice. Um, it didn't bring very much. to the table as far as features go. It was very much just your standard run of the mill fighting game, but it's DC, and it's very nice to see big, like I don't know, you could say comics, but franchises being put into fighting games because it worked. It was the voice acting was great, the character models are very nice,
The
and the
game mechanics are
customizations.
just
Yeah,
satisfying. It's
I
fun.
mean, yeah, you could say that they were using loot boxes before loot boxes were made illegal in most countries.
Alright, so I think Injustice 2 would
I'd
either
say C or D.
0D. I'm gonna place it below Mortal Kombat just
Yeah,
because it doesn't have too much
no, but Mortal
popularity.
Kombat will always be probably the best fighting game,
Mhm.
just because of how gruesome it is, which
Yeah.
isn't everyone's cup of tea because it makes them throw up.
Yeah.
But it's
That's why
still,
Injustice 2 is good.
yeah,
Alright.
it's more for the. Injustice 2 is nice for the person who doesn't like the extreme gore of something like Mortal
Mhm.
Kombat.
But still likes fighting and the fighting mechanics.
Yeah.
And this game is very satisfying and fun to play. And
Mm.
it's a good fighting game. That's my opinion about it. That's why I'm placing it in D. Alright, and that will be the end of part one. We've spent a very long time talking over these games. This is the first half of the. This is the first half of the tier list. And and yeah, we still have half to go, and we'll make sure to post that soon. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next part. Bye.